We're on the Devo series, The Days of Discontent, and the title of this one today is called The Formula. In Psalm 131, we read some verses that are short and have a punch. It says, "My heart is not proud, Lord, my eyes are not haughty, and I do not concern myself with great things too wonderful for me. But I have calmed and quieted myself, and I'm like a weaned child with its mother. Like a weaned child, I am content. Israel, put your hope in the Lord now and forevermore." So let's look at what he said. He said he wasn't proud, he wasn't haughty, and he wasn't concerned, but rather he calmed himself, he quieted himself, and he became content. So perhaps this is a formula of sorts for contentment when our days are full of discontent. I like formulas, mostly because I like math. And even when there are variables in a problem, there's always a way to solve for those variables so that we get an outcome. So I think most of us are built this way. Give me a formula for success, a formula for raising good children, a formula for good health, and I'll follow that. However, this formula's variables are the matters of the heart: pride, being haughty, and overly concerned with things that should not concern us, and therefore we live in discontent. So let's look at the first half, not being proud. Did you know the ultimate act of pride is questioning the actions of a king? 2 Kings says, when we ridicule and blaspheme and raise our voice against the Holy One, we're lifting our eyes in pride. So not being proud is more than not just tooting our own horn. It's more about not slamming God and his ways. And that's a hard pride to kill. But what about not being haughty? You know, expecting the best seat in the house because of who we are, or not allowing one beneath us to sit in those special seats. Psalm 101 says God won't stand for haughty eyes or a proud heart. Proverbs says those with haughty eyes also give glances of disdain. Remember Jesus' followers when that lady with sin showed up? Jesus told them if they were without sin, go ahead and cast a stone. But they all left because they had shown haughty hearts. And the third thing this writer says is that he was not concerned with great matters or things too wonderful. And this one's a kicker. I've never seen a time when people are more concerned with great matters, politics, economy, even the weather, and things too wonderful for us, like the whys of life and the ways of God. This all breeds discontent, and discontent results in a life full of problems with all sorts of variables and unsolved equations. So we sit with no solutions, no answers. We take more gummies, swallow more concoctions, and join more gyms to try to settle our souls. But let's move to the second half of the chapter. It's interesting to know that to read that he calmed himself, he quieted himself, and then he became content. So it seems like there was a choice on his part. In other words, he didn't wait for God to set right those beneath him, or answer his questions he had raised to God with a fist, or even to explain to him all the mysteries of the world, but rather he settled himself down. And he makes this analogy about a weaned child. I read in a commentary how a child in the beginning processes of being weaned cries and squirms because something he wants is being taken from him. But in reality, something bigger and better, like solids and meats, are about to be offered if he would only trust his parents. Sometimes when our children have all their needs met and we've fed them and we've bathed them and they're just whiny and it's all about them, we have to just leave them alone to sit and quiet themselves and calm themselves. The sobbing has to subside and they have to be content with being held, even though maybe we've told them no to another piece of candy 1,000,000 times. Once that child realizes he or she will not stomp or scream loud enough to move us to their demands, that child then has a choice to be calmed and quieted and content in the Father's arms. He will not and cannot at a young age comprehend the ways of his parents when they say no. They just have to trust. This results in maturity and contentment. This chapter ends with the directive to put your hope and trust in the Lord. Pride, haughtiness, and concern are variables that won't lead to solid results. Instead, we'll still be sitting at the math table, erasing, crossing out, refiguring over and over again until the wee hours of the morning. Do you remember those days in college where you spent hours on one problem? These things have to be laid at his feet, and we have to then choose to calm and quiet our restless souls as he holds us close. That's the outcome we truly all desire: contentment in this unsolvable world in which we live.